Most people earning a decent income assume that wealth is where income eventually leads. Earn enough for long enough, and the accumulation becomes automatic. And that assumption is the specific mechanism that keeps most high earners from building real money, despite years of solid income. Because real money and a big salary are not on the same spectrum. They are in different categories. Real money is a relationship with time and compound growth. A big salary is a rate of inflow. And without the specific behaviors that convert inflow into compounding position, the salary and the wealth remain permanently separate. There are exactly 7 signs that separate people in the second category from people in the first. Sign 1. They know their net worth, not just their income. Most people in the target income range can tell you their annual salary within $2,000, and most of those same people cannot tell you their net worth within $20,000. And that gap in financial self-knowledge is the most reliable early indicator of income trap behavior, because net worth is the measure of what the income has built, and income is only the rate of the building. Tracking the rate without tracking the accumulation is running a construction project without ever checking how tall the building has gotten. Someone who has built real money knows their net worth with the same precision they know their income, not because they are obsessive about tracking, but because the number has become important to them in the way income used to be important. And the behavioral shift from what do I earn to what have I built is the most reliable early sign of someone who has made the transition from income orientation to position orientation. Ask someone their net worth and observe the speed and precision of the answer. It tells you which orientation they are in.
Sign 2. They are unimpressed by income as a status signal. There is a specific quality of response that high earners have when income is named in a social context, and the response varies dramatically between people who are income-oriented and people who are position-oriented. The income-oriented person treats income as the primary status signal. They remember what people earn. They notice when someone earns more. They experience their own income as a central part of their financial identity. Someone who has built real money tends to be genuinely unimpressed by income numbers, not performatively humble, actually unimpressed, because they understand that income tells you nothing about position. A person earning $200,000 with $500,000 in assets and $400,000 in debt is in a worse financial position than a person earning $80,000 with $300,000 in assets and zero debt. And someone who thinks in net worth terms immediately sees this. The income number is not the interesting number. The gap between income and consumption and the rate at which assets are compounding is the interesting number. And income alone does not tell you any of those things.
Sign 3. They are comfortable talking about money being in multiple places doing different things. Most people whose financial life is entirely in a checking account and a savings account describe their finances in terms of those accounts. I have some savings. I try to set money aside. And most people whose financial life involves multiple vehicles working simultaneously describe their finances in terms of the vehicles. The distinction is not sophistication. It is the difference between money sitting and money working. Someone who has built real money talks about their financial life the way a business owner talks about their operations. Different allocations doing different things simultaneously. Index funds compounding in taxable accounts. Retirement accounts growing tax advantaged. Real estate generating rental income. And the confidence with which they discuss this is not performance. It is the ease of someone who has built a system they understand. The contrast with I have some money in savings is the contrast between a machine that is running and a machine that is not. And the machine language is audible in how they describe it.
Sign 4. They have already solved problems that have not happened yet. The reactive financial posture is the posture of someone who solves problems when they arrive. The emergency fund is established after an emergency. The insurance is reviewed after a close call. The estate documents are prepared after something happens to someone they know. And reactive posture is the default for someone who is managing income, because when cash flow is tight, the only problems that get solved are the problems that have already arrived. Someone who has built real money tends to have already prepared for problems that have not yet appeared. They have a will not because anyone has died, but because the absence of one is an unnecessary risk. They have umbrella insurance not because they have been sued, but because the probability of being sued increases with accumulated assets. They have had the conversation with their partner about financial priorities not because anything has gone wrong, but because alignment prevents the specific kind of financial damage that disagreement causes.
This forward preparation is not personality. It is the behavioral signature of someone who has enough runway to think ahead rather than enough runway to reach next month. And if signs 3 and 4 just named something about your own financial posture that you are already working on, the like button is right there. It means this video keeps reaching people who are building toward the position rather than people who have already arrived.
Sign 5. They have at least one income source that does not require their time. Most high earners are in the most precarious financial position available to a person who appears secure. They earn well and they own nothing that generates income without their presence, which means the income stops the moment they stop. And most high earners have not internalized how different that is from the position of someone who has even one asset generating income independently. Not because it makes them wealthy immediately, but because it changes the orientation from survival of the salary to building of the position. Real money almost always involves at least one income stream that is not dependent on continued labor. A dividend-paying portfolio, a rental property, a business with systems that run without the owner's daily presence, a royalty or licensing arrangement. And the specific characteristic that makes this a sign of real money rather than of extra work is that the income stream is compounding. It is generating income that is being reinvested into more income-generating capacity. The high salary without any non-labor income is a treadmill, efficient while running, stopped the moment it stops. Sign 6. They are genuinely unbothered by market volatility. The financial news industry requires that market movements feel urgent. And for most people who are income-dependent with limited assets, the movements are genuinely not urgent because they have little invested. But for the person whose wealth is in invested assets, market volatility is real. And the response to that real volatility is the most reliable behavioral indicator of whether someone understands what they own. Someone who has built real money and understands it does not experience market corrections as emergencies. Not because they are emotionally unaffected, but because they understand the difference between a temporary price decline and a permanent loss. They know that selling into a decline converts a paper loss into a real one. They know that the accounts they will not access for 20 years are measured correctly only over 20-year periods. And that knowledge produces a genuine calm that is visible in how they talk about market movements. Not performed indifference, actual indifference, rooted in the understanding that volatility is the price of long-term return, and the price has already been accepted. Sign 7. They think about money as a tool, not as a score. There is a specific orientation toward money that produces the income trap, treating money as a score, where the number in the account or on the pay stub is the primary measure of financial success. And the score orientation produces the behavior of maximizing visible score numbers, which means maximizing income and maximizing what income purchases, rather than maximizing the gap between income and consumption. Someone who has built real money tends to treat money as a tool, specifically as a tool for building time freedom. And the tool orientation produces completely different decisions than the score orientation. The tool-oriented person asks, what does this purchase do for my capacity to generate income or freedom? The score-oriented person asks, what does this purchase signal about my current score? And the tool question produces systematically more wealth-building decisions because it filters every dollar through its actual function, rather than through its communicative value. The distinction is not visible in any single purchase. It becomes visible across a decade of purchases, made from the same orientation. The salary and the wealth are not on the same spectrum. They never were. And the moment that becomes obvious is the moment everything on the list above starts becoming obvious too. I make these videos because I find it genuinely unreasonable that the most important distinction in personal finance between income and position is so rarely explained with enough precision to actually change anyone's behavior. Subscribe so I can keep being unreasonable about that on your behalf. The video on your screen right now might be more helpful for you, so click and watch.